USA.
And happy Halloween. Welcome into Lucas Oil Stadium for the 3-4 Commanders going up against the 3-3-1 Indianapolis Colts. We are coming to you live from the sidelines here for the next 2 hours, taking you all the way up to kickoff as Washington attempts to get to 500 on the season and close out October with a win. You're going to hear from Taylor Heinicke, Cam Curl, head coach Ron Rivera, Fred Smoot, London Fletcher, and many more. Of course, Bram Weinstein as he joins me now. This is Command Center Game Day Live on the Commanders YouTube and social media platforms and broadcasting live on our flagship Big 100 in DC and across the Washington Commanders radio network. Okay, so Bram, let's set the stage here. Washington has now won 2 games in a row after a terrible losing streak that had everybody going, what is happening to this season? They had the chance of getting to 500. It was Taylor Heinicke that got the first action that kind of helped get this team back into it. Of course, the first quarter was a shaky start for him, but then he did connect with Terry McLaurin on a 37-yard TD strike, kind of sealed the victory. And it was a different story on how that game ended.
Yeah, it was. And I'm really happy for Terry. They paid him for a reason. It's not just because of all the things that he's doing off the field and representing the team the way he does, but it's plays like that. And, listen, this is not an indictment of Carson Wentz, but Heinicke's comfortable with certain people with this team, Terry McLaurin namely one of them. I'm not surprised that when push came to shove and they needed some plays to be made, that he's looking his way. And on that one you heard in our open there, the 3rd and 9 play, he just threw that up for grabs to a spot that he knew Terry would be. That's a trust factor that's growing here, and I think there's a comfort level with the offense that's different, and McLaurin is a big part of this. And we have a situation here where there's a one-ball problem with this team. There's a lot of really good options out there. McLaurin might be the best, and in clutch moments, Heinicke found him.
Heinicke does say he has extra trust and chemistry with Terry because he has been with him for quite a few years, and is actually probably the more consistent quarterback that Terry's worked with in his time being here as well. Terry, of course, is from Indianapolis, so this is a very big game for him coming back here. He said he grew up here, going to the game, sitting in Section 540 with his dad. He played some high school games here, some Big Ten championships, way up top, way up high there. A little bit different of a view for him. He has about 70 family members and friends and former coaches all coming out today, but he understands what needs to be done. Meanwhile, we talk about a quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, they decided Carson Wentz was not the guy. They go out and they get Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has been dealing with injury, but they decided despite the injury, he is not the guy that's going to finish the season for them. So they go to second-year quarterback Sam Ehlinger, drafted in the 6th round out of Texas. He has not played a game outside of the preseason, so we're not entirely sure what to expect from him. But from what we do know, what would you imagine we're going to see today of what their offense will look like with Sam taking over?
I will be shocked if they're not running the ball a ton today. It seems to me that in the first 7 games that some of the story probably is Matt Ryan and an offense that is struggling the way it did last year with Carson Wentz, frankly. But the only difference is they're not running the ball nearly as much as I think anybody would expect them to with an all-world running back on their team. Matt Ryan threw the ball 40 times or more in 4 of their 7 games, twice over 50 times. That doesn't make any sense. They've got Jonathan Taylor on their team, rushed for 1,800 yards a year ago. So I expect a heavy dose of him. And if for some reason Sam Ehlinger is throwing the ball 50 times, I like our chances today to make some plays. The way this defense has been really stout up front, I like our chances today. I have a feeling, though, that they're going to remember that Jonathan Taylor's on their team, and we're going to get a heavy dose of him today.
One of the reasons that they have struggled a little bit to run the ball this year is their offensive line has not been performing as expected. It is a very expensive offensive line, but not living up to the billing. There are not the openings, there are not the holes for Jonathan Taylor to run through that he did have last year. Of course, he missed a couple of games this year with a foot injury as well. By the time he gets the ball in contact, it is the absolute worst in the league. They are getting on him quickly, and one of the reasons why is they don't have that deep threat that they have not been going down the field, so they can kind of stack the box a little bit, limit the run. But it will be different with Sam under there, the way that he has the ability, kind of like a Taylor Heinicke, they say, to use his legs as well. It's going to be a very different offense than what we have been seeing. But given all of that, because of both of these quarterbacks, and they are more of an RPO, might fit them better. They're both guys that are athletic, mobile, use their legs. Are you anticipating more of this being maybe a game on the ground?
Yeah, I think so for them. I think for Washington, this is a difficult spot. Again, it's a very good defense that they're facing. Sadiq Charles is not going to start likely today. Probably be Trey Turner again. He's had an illness throughout the week, so another shift on the offensive line again. Running between the tackles on Indianapolis is very difficult. They're very stout up front, and they get their real playmaker back. Shaquille Leonard's barely played this year. He's going to be on a pitch count, but playing, surveying in the middle linebacker spot for them. They're stout up front. I have a hard time seeing Washington run the ball very effectively today. And for Washington's defense, I think you want Indianapolis to throw the ball unless Jonathan Taylor kind of control the down and distance. We talked about this for a number of weeks with whether it was Carson Wentz or Taylor Heineke. We need to get in third and manageable. Stop being in these third and longs. Colts are the exact same way. They can't be in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, or worse. That is a death sentence for them today. And Washington defensively, I know 3rd and long last year, they were historically bad for a period of time. This year, they have allowed one conversion of 3rd and 10 or longer the entire season. That is the best in the NFL. We get this team in 3rd and long, I think Washington's got a real recipe to pull off a 3rd straight win.
Something that's been frustrating for them as well, even in 3rd and short, they've struggled. Again, part of the offensive line. So these teams a little bit similar on both sides of the ball, and it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see how it does actually play out for this one. Let's talk a little bit about the injuries. No Jahan Dotson again as he continues to deal with a hamstring injury. Cole Holcomb has been dealing with a foot injury. William Jackson III, of course, a back injury. Logan Thomas, I think it's safe to say that we will see him out here today. Will be good to have him back and be a really great option. He connected a lot last year with Taylor Heineke. De'Ami Brown's questionable. Sam Cosmi, Sadiq Charles. Where do we stand?
You know, I think the really big deal, you mentioned Cole Holcomb. I think that is a really big deal today. He has shot up the tackling charts. He's 6th in the NFL in tackles. He seems to be in on everything. Boy, has he turned his season around. We know that they're thin at linebacker. This was a position that they were worried about coming into the season. And now I think there's a lot of questions about what's going to happen in the middle. But Jack Del Rio's very creative today with who's playing the middle linebacker position on certain downs. Watch for way different positional groupings, including some safeties you may know well moving up into the box.
Okay, there you go. That's what happens when you don't have as many linebackers and you go down. Your middle linebackers, you do have to make adjustments. The injury report is presented by Optima Health Plan, a health plan you can count on. Coming up, we're going to find out more about the Colts quarterback, Sam Ehlinger, as ESPN's John Keim will be joining me. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football. Time now for your player profile, brought to you by Pepsi, official soft drink of the Washington Commanders.
Let's go hunt today.
You already know.
Let's go hunt.
Yes, sir.
Go hunt.
Yes, sir. Let's go, baby. Yeah. Thank you.
It gets better and better, brother. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. I see you, A-Leg. I see you.
Sir, mic'd up?
I am.
I love you, brother.
What I'm saying.
Let's get after it.
I don't think it's on right now, but this is the game you get one.
Sure.
Yo!
Hey, family on 3, 1, 2, 3. Family. They don't want to jump.
Come on, baby. Come on. It's going to be a great day.
Best in the world, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Bless you. It's time to hunt.
Make sure you stick to your be you, brother.
I will.
Best version of you, brother.
It's coming. It's coming. I just need to be out there. That's all.
Yeah.
Sit still, guys. Step into my toe.
Bro, you good?
Play that hard.
All right. Be careful.
It's 4th down. Seconds on the clock. He hands it off. Finds a hole in the middle. Clear. Nothing but Brian moves. A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it.
Pizza. Better with Pepsi.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card, and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer,
after 3.
he's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
Finding the Honda you really want just got easier. With a longer limited warranty, so long. And complimentary oil changes within the first year. You've never been more at peace than with Honda Certified Pre-Owned.
Well, my baby does gives me special love. It's the kind of stuff.
Honey, it's your turn.
I'm on cloud 9.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
There's Pregame Show. Here's Julie Donaldson.
And we're getting set for a 4:25 kickoff here in Indianapolis. Washington has not defeated Indy in 20 years. Don't play them all too often, but still that is something that is quite a record. John Keim from ESPN joins us now. 20 years. You kind of think like, really, it's been a while.
It has been a while, and I didn't realize that because that's long. But they don't, like you said, they don't play each other that much. And in that interim, they had a couple good quarterbacks too.
Just to say, well, it's going to be very different quarterback today. For both teams coming into this. But before we do get to quarterback talk, we're talking about a player coming back and returning as well, Chase Young. Coach Ron Rivera said that he was close to returning back to practice this week, but the doctor said, no, let's just wait a little bit longer before we do. And then, of course, once he does probably get back to practice, we might still need a little extra time before we see him game action. But you're out there, you're kind of watching him warm up. What have you been seeing from him and where he's tracking?
Well, you see the intensity increasing in the warm-ups and the things that he does in pregame. Like last week, it was a lot different than it had been. So you see the intensity increasing. When we're watching at practice, you can see him working on the side field, pulling the sled, doing the agility work, and again, ramping up in intensity. But as you know, when you get the pads on, you get the helmet on, there's a different level of conditioning that you need to get to before you can get out there. So that's the next step for him.
I think it's important, too, is this is not just an ACL. There is many more layers to it as well, which is probably a little bit longer of a recovery process than many would think or expect. And, of course, they want the long game with Chase. They want to make sure he's here for a decade. So taking their time, waiting an extra week or two. But good to see that he is trending back. What about William Jackson III?
Well, trade deadline's Tuesday, Julie. So we'll see what happens with him then. He's got the back injury still, a degenerative disc in his back, and that's preventing him from being out there. He hasn't practiced for a couple weeks. But we do know that he's available for a trade. So depending on if they get an offer for him, that will determine his future here. It sounds like teams are kind of anticipating or thinking that they may cut him instead. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think. So we'll see. But it's all about the back. And even if he's healthy, he's been supplanted in the starting lineup.
He said that he did not say he wanted out, but of course he's reading and hearing everything that was out there. But we shall see. Meanwhile, though, he will not be playing tonight in this game. Of course, Benjamin St. Juste has done a really great job stepping up in taking the most of his opportunity. Another change, of course, is going to be the second game with Taylor Heineke starting at quarterback. And we saw them have to make an adjustment from the first half to the second half of him kind of settle in, work a little bit on the timing. And now he has a whole nother week taking the reps with the first team. Have you seen this offense be different with Taylor?
I think what you see is there are a couple throws he made last week that I think were all a result of his familiarity in the offense. I think that third down throw to Terry McLaurin is a prime example. He is. I know they got the picture of him with his eyes closed, but as Scott Turner said, well, I think that was caught him in his mid blink or whatever. But I think it also highlights his trust and familiarity. He knows where Terry McLaurin is going to be. McLaurin is not even cutting yet, and he's throwing it to the area. I think if you're hesitating at all on that, if you're not sure is he going to get there or not, that's a sack. So I think we saw that a couple times where Carson Wentz still adjusting to this offense. Taylor Heineke knows it very well, and sometimes that familiarity makes all the difference in certain situations. Like third down, for example. I think there are some key spots where he played well because of his knowledge of the offense, where to go and when, and the timing of it.
The timing is really important. I think they had, a 19% chance of that being a completion percentage by next-gen stats.
I'm surprised it was that high.
Right? Yeah. It does go to show, though, the anticipation, and that is something that we didn't necessarily see last year from Taylor. And, we work with Santana Moss, throughout the week on our command center shows. And the other one, he's like, if you wait for me to be open, I'm not open.
Right.
But that is really hard to anticipate and throw it ahead of time and give them the chance to be able to make it. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that today as well.
I think so. And I think the other thing, too, is that for a guy like Taylor's got to get that ball out. He's got to throw with trust and anticipation, because if he waits, he does not have the arm strength to compensate. There are some quarterbacks, Carson could get a little bit away with maybe not being quite as on time all the time because he's got the arm strength to overcome. But if Heineke, the more he can anticipate and throw with that trust, the more he's got a chance, because he does trust where those guys are going.
And one thing about the arm strength is he hears all those knocks against him. It was a 37-yard strike, and he wants to be able to give Terry the opportunity to go deep and stretch the field. Okay, Sam Ehlinger. What do we know about this quarterback coming in here today?
I think he's Taylor Heineke light. So, but his style is like that. His style is make some plays with your legs. He's an athletic quarterback. He too has worked on his arm strength. He's been dinged for that. He was dinged for his accuracy coming out. He's worked on that. So I think there's a level of excitement because they're not sure what he's going to bring. But behind this offensive line, just like with the Heineke, I think you need to have a guy who's a little bit more mobile. They have some athletic receivers, so if he can extend the play, it bodes well for their receivers. But just first NFL start. That's not easy. And so this is a good defense that's playing well that he's facing. So it's not an easy task for him, but there are a lot of attributes that he has that Taylor Heineke also has.
Quarterbacks making their first NFL start against Washington are 3-12 since 1970. They started keeping track of that. Not easy to come in and get any first start or victory in the NFL. Here it is, him instead of Nick Foles, as they did bench Matt Ryan. But you're going to have a very different quarterback, probably very different look on offense. John Keim, thanks so much for joining us,
Julie.
as always, in your insight. Of course, John Keim is of ESPN. You can find his articles, his podcast, anywhere you can find John Keim. Robert Smith starred for the Minnesota Vikings for 8 seasons. He's on the call for Fox this afternoon. He's going to join me next right here at Lucas Oil Stadium. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
Dude. Fire. Grill master, huh?
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
We'll make a new bet around every 2 seconds. Not only on the game, but on the game of life. Betting that love is just a swipe away. Betting on picking up that curious hitchhiker carrying a bowling bag. And betting that he doesn't turn out to be a cornhole prodigy. Every moment in life is a bet, but life doesn't offer you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. So bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, and make every moment more.
Finding the Honda you really want just got easier. With a longer limited warranty, so long. And complimentary oil changes within the first year. You've never been more at peace than with Honda Certified Pre-Owned.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy 1 large pizza and get a 2nd large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
Your hometown team. I don't know if you were a Colts fan growing up.
Mm-hmm.
What's going through your mind first, and also how many tickets are you going to have to purchase for that game?
Man, I got about 70-plus people coming to the game. So,
You got it. You just signed a big contract.
I told the media earlier, I said, man, thank God I was blessed with, a contract this offseason, so I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's something I honestly want to do.
That's
you know what I mean? To help some people come and support me who've helped me get to this moment. And I did grow up a Colts fan. We had season tickets. I could point the section me and my dad used to sit in. And it's very surreal. And I thank God to be sitting in this chair and to be where I'm at because, not everybody gets the opportunity to do what I'm doing at this magnitude, and then to be able to have the chance to go back and play where you first grew the love of football and to perform. Like, I think that's the cool part of it all. Like, I was able to win state championships in that stadium. I was able to win Big Ten championships in that stadium. And now I get to come back as an NFL football player. Like, sometimes I sit here and pinch myself like life is good. You know what I mean? You got a whole lot of other things going on. Everything may not be perfect, but I'm blessed. You know what I mean?
Pregame show. Here's Julie Donaldson.
And we are getting close to Halloween. Lots of folks dressing up for the holidays. We will see who gets to celebrate today, though, here in Indianapolis. Joining me now is Minnesota Vikings drafted Robert Smith out of Ohio State first round back in 1993. He's on the call for Fox. Spent 8 seasons with Minnesota.
1993? Oh, my God, it's so long ago.
Don't you hate it when people, age you like that as well? Usually folks just ask me, what quarterback did you have at the University of Florida? And that's an easy way to figure it out.
Well, Herb Street was my last QB at Ohio State.
Well, I had Danny Warfel for a year.
Nice.
Yes, I did. Yeah, we won the national championship that year, and then they're like, it's not always like this. But both good programs. Congratulations on your win yesterday. Florida gave a little bit of a run, but let's talk about today's game, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, you're on the call here, and a little bit of a different storyline coming into this one than I think when the NFL scheduled the game.
Yeah.
And thought it would be Carson Wentz going up against his former team, and instead it's Matt Ryan being benched, Sam Ellinger taking over, Carson being injured, Taylor Heineke taking over, and so we've got a little bit of a different storyline today. Let's start with Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
What did you see from him, and have you seen from him, and what we're probably going to anticipate today?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting a week ago, took some chances in that one I thought that were a little bit surprising. But, when we spoke to him, he talked about kind of his mindset. He was like, 2 years ago, he thought it was just kind of over for him, right? He's like, he's going to take those chances. But in talking to Scott Turner, he said, hey, we'll figure those things out. We'll be a little bit smarter with the football. And some of the, at some point as a quarterback, you have to take chances, right? But just his attitude, his approach to the game, I just, you can see why the fans really enjoy him so much. He just has this natural enthusiasm about him, but you really have to take care of the ball, especially on the road.
He does. The fan base rallies around him. I think I kind of like the underdog mentality. And the players, too, because they see that he leaves everything on the field.
Yeah.
And so they kind of step up in a certain way, saying, well, we've got to be able to match that same kind of intensity. But you don't want reckless.
Yeah.
That is for sure. He does approach practice these days, he told me, and head coach Ron Rivera said, a little more analytical than he probably did before, playing kind of like little backyard ball.
Well, with a guy that's, like a mechanical engineer, what do you expect, right?
Yeah.
Taking all those math classes, brilliant guy.
Well, we'll see what we get from him today. Meanwhile, number 4 on the other side, Sam Ellinger. What do we know, and what should we need to know about him?
Well, I think the team obviously had confidence in him a year ago because Carson Wentz was going to be out with the COVID protocol, and they said that week that they were going to prepare for Sam Ellinger to be the starter. And, he's dropped some weight since he was in college. When he was at Texas running quarterback power, he was up close to 240 pounds, he said. He's down closer to 220 pounds, and like Taylor Heineke, he's worked with a QB coach, different QB coach, but he's kind of worked on his throwing motion. And, listening to Frank Reich throughout the course of the week, he was saying that they have seen some elite-level throws from Sam Ellinger. Now, his legs are certainly a big part of what he does, but don't be surprised if you're seeing some throws from him, maybe that you didn't even see out of Matt Ryan this year.
Matt Ryan, I know they were not being able to see him move around and have that athletic bit, kind of standing a little bit in the pocket. Same as kind of Carson was a little bit as well. So it's interesting that they both go to quarterbacks that are kind of mirror each other a little bit.
Yeah,
in their style of play.
And it's also interesting kind of looking at the numbers, the different combinations, the offensive line that you guys have had, all the changes on the offensive line. Same thing with Indianapolis. Everybody but the left guard and the center have changed throughout the course of this year, and both quarterbacks have been getting hit at a high rate, and both of these defensive lines are pretty good. So, again, decision-making always number one for quarterbacks, and when you have quarterbacks in a game like this, you just have to take care of the football and know when you can take a chance with some of those opportunities that present themselves.
Okay, so you played with some Hall of Famers, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, name a few.
John Randall.
Yes, okay.
Brandon McDaniel.
Keep it back to where we started with this with the Buckeyes, since you're Ohio State. Of course, Washington has a couple really great receivers from Ohio State, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel. Terry, from here, looking forward to really a homecoming for him. But he seems to have a certain chemistry with Taylor Heineke that maybe he wasn't having before and getting those touches.
He certainly does. And, they talked about that relationship. But the thing that really stood out to me, and Taylor talked about this too, but watching that game against Green Bay, the energy that you saw from Terry, I think it's something that, because he's kind of a quiet, more reserved guy, but kind of seeing that excitement, it just got everybody fired up. Now, it's obviously a very bright guy, cerebral guy, but just kind of seeing that energy and that emotion. And, of course, I think he's got about 70 or so people that are going to be at the game today. So he's going to be all fired up today, too.
Yeah, he was a little emotional, but understanding he needs to be focused. Otherwise, he's not going to be the show he wants to put on. But we know Terry's always ready. What do you make of the run game between Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson? And do you kind of like that two-headed, attack?
Yeah, definitely. And, in talking to Scott Turner, I know a lot of people, because he hears these questions all week, right? We watch the press conferences throughout the course of the week, and then, when we talk to him, everybody talks about who's starting and, who's going to get this, who's going to get that. Obviously, with B-Rob, going through what he went through and kind of working himself back in there, you would probably have him on a pitch count anyway, but just with the way that Gibson plays, he's a lot of fun to watch. The thing that I love about him is that, being a former wide receiver, he still runs routes like a wide receiver, but he's extremely physical too. And I thought B-Rob, coming close, breaking the long one last week, it's just a matter of time before he busts a 60, 70-yarder. And, of course, you say, okay, one's bigger, one's thunder, one's lightning. They both really can do anything between the tackles or out.
The challenge we always talk about is there's just one ball. You understand that and trying to lobby for that. Terry McLaurin says he has to always stay ready because sometimes we got to wait to get him going. Well, hopefully that's not the case today. And then with the two running backs, it's like, okay, who has the hot hand? How do you get into rhythm? A very good problem to have. We'll see today which number 4 comes out on top. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great call.
Absolutely. Great to see you. In person this time. We were watching your films, getting ready for the games. It's fun watching you in London. London and I are distantly related, too, in the Cleveland area.
Oh, really?
Somehow or other. You got to ask him about that.
Like a distant cousin somehow, some way.
That's my cousin.
Yeah, okay. Well, talking about that, London Fletcher will be joining us when we come back here as well. Robert Smith now again on the call for Fox. Our pregame show is presented by the Washington Times, the exclusive reporting and proud partner of the Washington Commanders. Okay, so coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about defense. It was strong in last Sunday's win over Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. We will get today's outlook from our captain, London Fletcher, live here from the field at Lucas Oil Stadium. You are watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platform, and you are listening to the Washington Commanders football. Time now for your Fresh Takes, brought to you by Safeway, the official supermarket of the Washington Commanders. We have Logan Paulson and Santana Moss. It is time for your Fresh Takes to see how Washington can get 3 wins in a row. Santana, let's have you lead us off here.
My fresh take would be that the Washington backfield, our two-headed monster, will outrush Jonathan Taylor this week.
Jonathan Taylor's not having the year like he was last year, but Washington seems to be running the ball pretty well.
Washington's running the ball well, and I don't think you need to sleep on Jonathan Taylor. I think with Ellinger at quarterback, he's going to get a lot of touches, so that might not be that. That probably we'll see what happens though.
That's why it's a fresh take.
Washington's been averaging 147 rushing yards over the last 2 weeks. Okay, Logan, you're up.
I think our defense is going to hold them to under 2 scores. I think with Sam Ellinger, I think they're kind of counting on him to steal possessions, allow them to be good on third down, use his legs, get Jonathan Taylor involved. But I think our defense is great at stopping the run. They're going to put him in a bad spot. They're going to be able to kind of manage some of the big plays. They're going to try and cultivate off play action. I expect the defense to play outstanding this week against Indianapolis.
Do you believe that? What would you attest to why they've been playing better as of late?
I think honestly the front's just playing much better. Front's playing better, and most important thing, Cam Curl's been back.
No,
right?
yeah,
Cam Curl is getting those guys. He's communicating. You can see Cole. You can see Jamie communicating. That confidence that whole group's playing with, that is fantastic, and that leads to good football.
It's what we were talking about during training camp, of the communication to avoid those breakdowns and the explosive plays and kind of playing together as a unit. And it's nice to see them coming together. Want to see them build off of that, though. They'll see if they can do that at Lucas Oil Stadium today.
From selecting the perfect produce and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you, we have perfected the art of fresh.
This is Maya Titan. She's smiling because her small culinary supply store, Titan's Pans, is up and running. And this is NFL star Derrick Henry, accidentally tagging Titan's Pans instead of his loyal fans. Which, very unexpectedly, has her business trending. And trending, and trending, and oh my. And there goes the internet. Good thing Maya uses FedEx to help prepare for unexpected demand. Because you never know what's next.
Here's Julie Donaldson.
And we are brought to you by RTS, a better waste company. Find out more at RTS.com. Getting excited for today's afternoon tilt against the Indianapolis Colts here at Lucas Oil Stadium. Joining us now is our captain, the commander, London Fletcher. London, we're short on defense. We might need you to suit up and get out there today.
Julie, I don't know. I'm not quite at my playing weight now.
You got a few series in you.
I can go play some short yardage defense,
okay.
Definitely.
Well, you might need that a little bit today. It's going to be a little different on defense with Sam Ehlinger taking over. Look, this is a quarterback that there's not a lot of film on. You do have some from the preseason, of course. He was drafted in the 6th round out of Texas. It was a bit of a project for them. He's been in the league for 2 years, but they were still hoping to kind of wait to go to him. But he gets the call now over Nick Foles as they benched Matt Ryan. What does defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio need to do when you're going up against a quarterback that you haven't seen before?
Well, you'll go back. You'll look at film of Ehlinger in college. You look at his stuff from the preseason. You know about the athletic skills and his ability to run the football, things like that. You kind of try to anticipate what they'll do with him on 1st and 2nd down. You know, the 3rd down passing game will probably be the same, but anticipate maybe a little bit more movement of the pocket, some bootlegs, some nakeds, obviously some zone reads where he's a threat to run the ball. You know, so there's a different challenge that you'll face with Ehlinger at the quarterback as opposed to Matt Ryan. But I anticipate Jack maybe trying to feel him out a little bit, maybe try to disguise the coverages, see if you can trick him that way. And if he's handling that, you know, better than expected, maybe dial up a little bit of pressure to see if you can speed up the process for him.
I would imagine you want to probably test a rookie quarterback and kind of see what they can handle, bring a little extra pressure on them in this one. Washington is dead last in the NFL in takeaways. 2 that they have had were muffed punts. Today seems like maybe a good day to try and change that. How do they flip this drought?
Well, that's one of the things where I was just talking about from the coverage standpoint. By really disguising your coverages, maybe seeing if you can trick Ehlinger post snap. You know, show him one thing pre-snap, then rotate to a different type of coverage. See if you can get a pick interception or 2 from that standpoint. Maybe play a little bit more zone coverage. I know that's not something we do a ton of. I know maybe we'll have man on one side, zone on the other. See if you can get a takeaway that way. And obviously, if we can get to him, maybe force some fumbles that way, and those are ways to take away the football. And also, we got that great weapon in Tress Way and what he's able to do with the football. And I'm sure he got something up his sleeves, as he punched the football today in the dome.
One of the main reasons folks are having a hard time catching Tress's punts is because he's a lefty punter, and it puts a different spin on the ball. So I guess the big first thing is somebody's got to be able to try and catch it. Meanwhile, the 4 takeaways is tied for the fewest in the league with the Raiders, and they played one less game than Washington, mind you. So let's see if they can't.
We got takeaways lately. We got takeaways lately,
yeah,
Julie. That's what we're going to hang our hat on.
We have. Okay, so they've got Sam Ehlinger, and they also have Jonathan Taylor. Look, he had 1,800 yards last season, but it's a far cry from what he's doing this season. Maybe Sam Ehlinger with some of the RPOs and his running game might be able to help open that up a little bit more. But what are you seeing from Taylor, and what do they need to be aware of, especially since we are out Cole Holcomb in that linebacking unit?
Which is Jonathan Taylor. He's great at setting you up. Thinking he's going to go in the A gap and then bouncing out to the C gap. He has the ability to go from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat. You're going to have to be extremely disciplined in your gaps as a defensive guy. A lot of times you'll see defensive ends maybe get out of their gap, try to get nosy, maybe pinch inside or things like that. And with his vision and speed, he has the ability to see that and get outside, and he can go the distance. So you're going to have to be extremely disciplined when you're rushing the quarterback. Also, when you're playing run defense, because he can hit every single gap. But, he's not playing to the level so far just because he had dealt with injuries. I don't think the offensive line of the Colts is playing to the same level that they did a year ago either. But I'm sure they want to get him the football a lot more than they did last week.
And he has the capabilities. Week 1, he went for 161 rushing yards. I think it was like 175 from scrimmage. But since then, he's missed games 5 and 6. He's been averaging just over 56 rushing yards a game, and a lot of it has to do with that offensive line not creating any openings for him to be able to get through. But again, maybe Sam Ehlinger with his mobility kind of opens up the run game a little bit for them. Washington did not have any sacks last week, despite doing a pretty good job against the Packers. What have you made of the pass rush so far?
I think the last 3 weeks we've done a great job of being able to get after the quarterback. You look at the 5 sacks against the Tennessee Titans, 5 sacks against the Bears. Even last week, although we didn't get a sack of Aaron Rodgers, they had an effort. They made a concerted effort to get the ball out of his hands quickly. But we were able to get pressure on Rodgers, make him uncomfortable. And it's not always about how many times you sack the quarterback. If you can get hits on him, if he can feel your pressure in the pass rush, that's something that we've been able to do the last 3 ball games. And hopefully we can continue that in this ball game.
Sam is the kind of quarterback you want to keep in the pocket, force him to beat you with his arm. This is a team that with Matt Ryan was throwing the ball way more than they were trying to run the ball. Curious to see how that game plan does change. London Fletcher, he's going to be back a little bit later in the show as well. Of course, he's on the call with Bram Weinstein and myself each and every game. So we'll have much more of London coming up. And when we do come back here, we're going to get the inside report on the Colts with ESPN's Stephen Holder. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms. And this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
We'll make a new bet around every 2 seconds. Not only on the game, but on the game of life. Betting that love is just a swipe away. Betting on picking up that curious hitchhiker carrying a bowling bag. And betting that he doesn't turn out to be a cornhole prodigy. Every moment in life is a bet, but life doesn't offer you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. So bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, and make every moment more.
Toyota is the #1 selling truck brand in America, thanks to a steady supply of new vehicles, which means faster delivery to you. Choose a Tacoma right now with low 2.49% APR, or take 3.49% financing on the all-new Tundra. Or check out a 4Runner with the best resale value of any off-road SUV for '22, according to Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com. Visit your Toyota dealer and reserve yours today. Toyota, let's go places.
God.
Oh.
Here it is.
Yeah. Okay, so Monday night after the game was the famous Logan Thomas Halloween party.
Yep.
Number 4 was none other than Austin Powers. Did you have the voice going? Did you have the dances going?
I had the teeth. I had the glasses. I had the hair.
Dude, you look phenomenal.
It was a good time.
Logan, you can't tell because
he doesn't have his mask on.
He doesn't have his mask on, and he's kind of hiding it, but he was fat bastard.
Look at those knee pads.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was, and then as Cheese was kind of mentioning earlier, running away from the tiger in his intro video, he was the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. Yes.
We missed you, Tress, man.
I know, man.
I was asking all about you. I was like, where's Tress going to be?
Our famous, my wife and I, we always like to pick famous Hollywood couples. Not real Hollywood couples, but like characters in movies couples. Then we do a little cross-dressing. So last year we did Squints and Wendy Peppercorn, and I was a funky-looking Wendy, and my wife was a cute little Squints. Then year before that, Danny Zuko and Sandy, and your boy fit into some black spandex.
Oh,
little tight.
Commander's pregame show. Here's Julie Donaldson.
And how about a deal for football season from Lido Pizza? Get an 18-inch 2-topping Lido Pizza, 8 pieces of cheesy garlic bread, and half a pound of boneless wings for only $36.99 plus tax. We are here in Indianapolis, and joining me now is Stephen Holder of ESPN. And, of course, we've got to be able to get a little bit of intel because we're not entirely sure what to expect from this game. With the change at quarterback for you guys and what the offense may look like. But, Stephen, first tell us, what is it that got Matt Ryan benched to begin with?
Yeah, I think it was just a confluence of many, many things. They just aren't the team that they thought they were going to be in so many ways that it's impacted how they play offense, right? So they brought Matt Ryan in assuming good protection, assuming a good running game. They've had neither. So then it changes how he's able to play the game, and he's a very stationary quarterback as well. He's turned the ball over extensively. I think they're a little bit of a desperate team right now, and this is definitely a move that reflects that.
12 takeaways in just 7 starts, 9 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 11 fumbles, 3 lost. It was not going the way that they had imagined and scripted it in this game. But, a big part of why they were having some struggles is the offensive line. You guys have a lot of money on that line, but they're not paying a lot of money. Of course, Washington having their own fair share of struggles on the offensive line. But what is it that your team, or what is it that the Colts are challenged with there?
So getting to the root of the problem has been just a mystery for me. But all I can tell you is that individually, the guys that you're talking about who are those high-paid guys, they are not performing well. And it's not even just losing in terms of scheme-related ways, I guess. It's also just losing one-on-one battles. Quentin Nelson, we're not used to seeing this behemoth of a man lose one-on-one matchups, and he is consistently doing that. They just made him the highest-paid guard in football just a few weeks ago, and this is the result. It's just been very, very frustrating. They envisioned themselves as a totally different team that was going to be or have their offensive line as a strength, and now it's one of their biggest weaknesses. So it's changed everything.
And it was just last season that they had the second best, rushing offense as well. And you have Jonathan Taylor, 1,800 yards last season. Is the challenges that he's having, is it as simple as the offensive line is not opening up for him?
A couple of things. Yes, for sure. But he also has been banged up. And so I talked to him this week. He had a toe injury that before missing 2 games a few weeks ago with an ankle injury that he subsequently suffered in week 4. And so I noticed when he came back last week, I saw a quicker guy, a more spry runner who was able to cut with more authority. And I said to him, something looks different. I said, that toe was a problem, bigger problem than you let on, wasn't it? And he admitted that it was. So hopefully that combined with the running ability of Sam Ellinger at quarterback gets the running game going. I think that's part of why they made this move.
I can't imagine trying to be as effective if you've got an injury on your foot and you're a running back, and how vital and important that is.
Yep.
He did miss weeks 5 and 6 with injury, but he did start the season hot, of course, only averaging about 53 yards a game since he has returned, and not as many carries as typically. They've been throwing the ball a lot more as well. And the second that they do carry, he's getting contact. One of the worst in the league at having time from when he gets the ball to when that contact does come. What can we see? Because you've been out here, be able to see how Sam Ehlinger works. The couple years that he has been in this system is a little bit of a developmental quarterback. What are you going to get? What are you anticipating we're going to get from him today?
They do have an advantage in terms of element of surprise. They have it at least today. Next week, I don't know, but today they have it. So what I envision it will look like is a lot of movement. So moving the pocket, so rolling him out, throwing on the run, some RPOs, which I think really could play into their hands very well. To really have the defense have to honor the quarterback, his potential for running the football in that situation. Now, RPOs are great generally, but they're much better when the quarterback is truly a running threat, right? So they have that ability. I think that's something they'll tap into. But at the end of the day, all quarterbacks at this level, you have to stand in the pocket and be able to make throws down the field if you want to win.
That is something that Washington fans do not want to see from Taylor Heineke, standing in the pocket. They want to be able to, kind of similar to Sam, as he's mobile. We've seen a lot of guys draw some comparisons from Sam and Taylor as well. How do you see the Colts trying to defend against Taylor Heineke?
Yeah, I think one of the things that they have shown some ability to do this year is to contain the quarterback, and quarterbacks with some athletic ability. So Patrick Mahomes came in here in week 3 and really was unable to really make plays outside of the pocket, and really had a struggle in doing that. So that was a good sign, I think. We'll see if they can continue to do that today, force them to make plays from the pocket.
The interior of the defensive line is pretty darn stout. What about the guys on the edge? I know if you have Yannick Ngakoue, he's a Maryland product, by the way. How has that D-line played so far as a unit?
Pretty good overall, particularly against the run. I think the key is going to be how do they replace Kwity Paye's production. He's going to be out today with a knee injury. So they've got to – he's, I think, been their best edge rusher. They've got to find a way to get Yannick Ngakoue going, as you mentioned. He's been fine, but I don't think the sack production has been there. So they're looking for more of that. If maybe he's turning the corner. They're hoping that they're getting somewhere with him.
Okay, we will have inactives when we come back. We're still waiting those to officially come out. But thank you so much, Stephen Holder from ESPN here in Indianapolis, for joining us, giving us a little bit of insight into what we can expect today. And we were talking about, it might just be a little bit of surprise from both teams, especially from what they plan to do with Sam Ehlinger under center. Today's, you are watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms. And you are listening to Washington Commanders football.
Veterans, you may have earned a variety of VA benefits. Did you know VA can help you further your education and pursue professional training? The Home Loan Guarantee Program can help you buy, repair, or adapt a home. VA provides housing support if you find yourself homeless or at risk of homelessness. And don't forget world-class health care. Learn more about these and other VA benefits. Visit choose.va.gov.
Finding the Honda you really want just got easier. With a longer limited warranty, so long. And complimentary oil changes within the first year. You've never been more at peace than with Honda Certified Pre-Owned.
With the Game of Life scratch-off from the Maryland Lottery, all roads lead to fun. Play the Game of Life scratch-off today and get your chance to win up to $1 million.
So right here, we got the legendary Kobe Bryant. I have to say one of the best to wear 24.
What you like about it? What you like about it?
Just his mentality. Like I told you, my favorite player, LeBron, but something LeBron I feel like didn't have like Michael and Kobe, like that attack.
Oh, that's me. Look good.
This guy right here, I don't think he would have wanted to see me in the hole, but
I'd have turned you down in the hole. I would have. No, you know I wouldn't have. You know I might not have turned you down in the hole. You know why? Because you played receiver, so my pride would have kicked in. Because I was like, so I would have turned you down. But I tell you what, I would have run up there and kind of said, listen, man, how we gonna do this? I'm gonna strap you.
I think I can line up too, though. I think I got a little juice in me.
Man, you gotta have a lot more than a little juice. You got at least about 4-3 in your tank, you know, because I had 6-7 gears. I don't know how many
6-7?
How many gears you got, man?
As much as I need.
Okay, there it is then. Antonio Gibson, I see a guy, sky's the limit for him. I see durability, I see tremendous skill set. He can catch, he can run after the catch. He can run in between tackles. He can run outside.
Yes, sir.
That's what I see. You know what I mean?
Here's Pregame Show. Here's Julie Donaldson.
Washington has the opportunity to get to 500 on a season and get their third victory in a row today up here in Indianapolis, going up against the quarterback Sam Ehlinger, making his first start in the NFL. So how do you prepare for the Colts, and what can we expect from the Washington Commanders today? Well, each and every week I have a conversation with head coach Ron Rivera. You can watch it on NBC4 Saturdays at 7 p.m., but here is part of that conversation.
But, Coach, let's talk now about this team coming in here. 2 wins in a row. And when I was talking with a lot of different guys after the win over Green Bay, they're saying it kind of felt a lot different than the win over Chicago. But that's the only way you can put together a streak is 2 in a row. What was your biggest takeaway from that?
More than anything else, there's really 2 weeks in a row where we've had pretty good team play. You know, total contribution. Special teams came up big, made a couple of big plays, had an explosive play. Offense made the plays we needed to have made, a couple of big plays, explosive plays that really were to our benefit, and then defensively being able to shut the door at the end of the game.
Oh, not a single third down converted. Aaron Rodgers for the first time in his career with that one. It was a little bit of a tale of the two halves between Taylor in the first half and the offense in the second half. What did you see that changed the way that Taylor approached the game?
I think early on a little rusty. I think he was a little slow through his progressions, and then I thought he tried to force the ball a couple of times. He started to settle down at the end of the second quarter. Early third quarter, you could really see him get his rhythm, get it going, and then he made a couple of big connections to Terry that I think it really gave him the confidence, and he just continued from there.
I know he says he trusts Terry, and he's had a lot of time actually working with Terry as well, and knowing and understanding this system. But now he's at an extra week with the first team getting those reps. Where is he now feeling prepared for Indianapolis?
Well, I think, again, he's really kind of feeling it out right now. I thought he had a couple of really good days of practice. I know one day he was a little rusty on a couple things. He had to work his way through it, but then he finished strong on Friday, which is probably the most important day.
The guys talk a lot about how his moxie and how he's a gamer, and you could see just the way that there's a certain energy and excitement for him to be able to get that win. Do you notice it in practice? Like, do guys play or approach it any differently with Taylor out there?
Well, I think they do. I think they kind of love the underdog spirit. But, you know, it's funny, in practice, you see Taylor being a little more analytical. You see him as he's studying what's going on. He practices going through his progressions where he may throw the ball out to the flat, but then he'll finish his progressions where he turns his body and looks at the other guys to see what he had. So you see him really thinking himself through practice, trying to get a complete understanding. It's not just wing the ball and go. He's really trying to make sure he understands every nuance.
It's part of the growth.
Yes.
I imagine, from him
very
as
much
well.
so.
How much does that ground game really kind of help him out as well?
Well, you know, last year we had that 4-game winning streak. We ran the ball 6 more times on the average per game, and we averaged over 100 yards per game. So that's a big plus. That's something that we have to continue to look at, because what it does is it takes a lot of pressure off the offensive line first and foremost. It doesn't allow the defenders to just pin their ears back and go. And anytime you can explode off the ball as an offensive line, that's a huge plus. Secondly, it makes our play action even more viable. They've got to respect it. And that's a big part of Taylor's throwing game, is he's a good play action passer. So that's the things that really helps them. And then the other important thing is it takes a lot of pressure off of Taylor. And then it helps the defense by keeping them off the field.
I was about to say, it keeps the defense honest as well. Defensively, you're not going to be going up against Matt Ryan, a very different quarterback that you haven't seen much film on, not in the league at this level. Sam Ehlinger, how do you prepare for that?
Well, it's interesting in talking with Logan, one of the things that he and I talked about was the similarities between Ehlinger and Taylor. You know, same type of build, same type of athleticism. You know, a guy that has a good set of legs as well as a good arm. So, you know, we've kind of seen this guy. We understand this guy. Now we got to try and hopefully prepare and get it right as to what they're going to try and do. We anticipate a little bit more RPO because that's what he did in college. We do anticipate some play action and try and throw it deep because that's, again, the things that he did well in college.
The challenge of Lucas Oil Stadium indoors gets quite loud in there. How do you prepare for that?
Well, you know, we've had the sound going all week in terms of preparation, so trying to get our offense used to the silent count.
It will be loud in here, that is for sure. And when we come back, London Fletcher is going to be joining me. We're going to talk about how Washington's offense can and what they can do against a top 10 defense here today in Indianapolis. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network. Time now for your keys to winning, brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do?
We have Santana Moss and Logan Paulson here, and it is time for your keys to winning. If Washington does get the victory today against the Colts on the road, it puts them at 500, which a few weeks ago we thought was way out of reach. So how do they do that, Logan?
I think one of the main things is they got to keep Taylor Heineke comfortable in the pocket. And what I mean by that is, like, that's play calling, that's play design, that's speaking to his skill set, but it's also running the football. It's getting Gibson, getting Brian Robinson the football, and making sure that Heineke's not in these high leverage situations too often, being efficient on first down, not taking negative runs. I think that's going to be a huge element to making sure he's at his best on Sunday.
You know, one of the things I think will be a key, because I know I've been sounding like a broken record week after week. I've been saying that you can't be shooting yourself in the foot. So we're on the road this week. Yeah. You can't go out there and have a ton of penalties. I think the last few weeks we've been dealing with penalties, and we can't make that mistake this week on the road. Playing against a pretty good team, we have to go out there and take advantage of it.
Last week was the first time that the opponent actually had more penalties than Washington did, as each week we were counting them up. And it's really hard to play the opponent and then against yourself and moving the ball backwards. Right. So hopefully a little extra discipline, a little extra focus, because those are things I feel like you can control and manage when you're really locked in. And you see the benefits from it as well. Okay, those are your keys to winning. Of course, again, if Washington gets that victory, they have 3 wins in a row, and we're talking about streaking when they come back home to take on the Minnesota Vikings and good old Kirk Cousins. All right, keys to winning.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card, and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to a close here after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
It's 4th down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but Brian, move! A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
Finding the Honda you really want just got easier. With a longer limited warranty, so long. And complimentary oil changes within the first year. You've never been more at peace than with Honda Certified Pre-Owned.
Well, my baby does gives me special love. It's the kind of stuff.
Honey, it's your turn.
I'm on cloud 9.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
dividend. I am here with London Fletcher, and we are in Indianapolis. This is the home of Terry McLaurin, and he is taking his time after warm-ups. We are showing you live look-ins on our social media platforms of him signing his jersey with all of the fans, giving out hugs as best he can. He said he's going to have about 70 family members, friends, former coaches, all here to watch this game. And he was kind of getting, it's the first time he's come back as a professional. Yeah. He said he came to the games as a young son, a young boy, and with his dad. And he said he didn't imagine 11 years old sitting in section 540 that one day he would be playing here. Does that make it extra hard to focus on the game, London, when you have so many family members and people, and this means so much to you?
Well, not. I wouldn't say it's harder to focus. I think the game means a little bit more to you because you grew up here. You were a Colts fan growing up. You had season tickets here with your dad. You got 70 family members come to the game. So there's an element of maybe just wanting to perform well. But I don't think, knowing Terry and how professional he is, once the ball is snapped, and the game starts, he'll be extremely focused on going out here and forgetting about, hey, it's the Indianapolis Colts. He's just going to go out there and try to perform his best.
One of the reasons he says he's so gracious with the fans is he also, and a lot of players will say this too, they remember being young, having dreams, being a kid, wanting to play the game, and when a professional player took a second out to sign something for them, give them a handshake, take a picture, it meant a lot. And so it's nice to see these players giving back, and of course Terry doing that here today. Okay, so let's get to the inactives, and I want to talk about what we can expect from Terry. He's going to go up against Stephon Gilmore, but let's get to the inactives. Who's not going to be out there today? For Washington, of course, wide receiver Jahan Dotson is still dealing with a hamstring injury. De'Ami Brown is not going to be out there. William Jackson III, not, as he's been dealing with the back injury. Running back Jonathan Williams, guard Chris Paul. This one's big. Linebacker Cole Holcomb.
Major.
He is not out there. Of course, it's been Cole and Jamin Davis, so Cole out. Jack Del Rio is going to have to make some adjustments, and then tight end Cole Turner, of course, dealing with concussion. For the Colts, you have center Wesley French, Kwity Payne, Matt Ryan, Grant Stewart, and Chris Williams. Today's injury and inactive report is presented by Optima Health Plan, a health plan you can count on. So let's go back to Terry McLaurin. Stephon Gilmore is somebody that, he hasn't really lost too much of a step necessarily at all. How do you see Terry matching up against Stephon, and do you think Stephon will probably follow him? That secondary for Indianapolis doesn't give up a lot.
Yeah, I know Stephon well. He's actually my neighbor in Charlotte, and he's still one of the elite defensive backs in the National Football League. I anticipate him guarding Terry all over the football field. He excels in man-to-man coverage, but it's going to be a battle where Terry's going to have to be extremely crafty in his releases, because the thing about Stephon, he's so patient at the line of scrimmage. He's going to get up and press, but he's not. He's very patient, so Terry's going to have to really work hard. I'm sure Scott McLaurin's going to move Terry around a lot like he did last week against the Green Bay Packers to get Stephon off of him and press, put him in the backfield, motion him, do different things to where it forces the defense to kind of figure out where he's going to be aligned.
Terry averages just over 16 yards per catch. That is second best in the NFL. At times he has to wait to be targeted. Last week, though, with Taylor Heineke out there, Taylor has a certain trust with him. He was targeted much more frequently and much more often as well with him out there. Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson Jr., they rushed for total Washington rushed for 164 yards. Each of them had very productive days. What are you anticipating from the run game today going up against this defense that doesn't give up a lot of yards on the ground?
Well, I anticipate us maybe looking to attack the edges a lot more against the Colts. When you look at the Colts defense, especially those interior tackles, Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner, it's going to be extremely difficult to just make hay running the football inside a lot against the Colts defense. So I can anticipate us trying to attack the edges a lot more, maybe some outside zone, some off-tackle type of plays. And, you still have to run up in the middle, but I still expect a bunch of, Gibson and Brian Robinson, and also get them guys involved in the passing game. The Colts have an extremely fast defense, so we'll have to take advantage of our running backs.
It is a top 10 defense. Where would you say their strength and their weaknesses to be able to take advantage today?
Well, as I mentioned, the defensive front, I feel, is the strength of the Colts, with Stewart and also DeForest Buckner, but also they brought in Yannick Ngakoue. He leads them in sacks this year, veteran guy who can rush off the edge. They're getting Darius Leonard back. Well, he's going by Shaquille Leonard now. One of the best linebackers in all of football. He's only played in one game. I don't know what he's going to be like. They say he might be on a pitch count. If he's playing like the Leonard of last year, he's a strength too. So, I would say the defensive front and also the speed of the linebackers, if we maybe can take advantage possibly in the secondary down against some of the maybe the safeties.
Shaq Leonard is one of those that can read the quarterback's eyes and kind of jump a route if he is out there. He's only played in 2 quarters in 7 games because he was coming back from injury, concussion. But if he is out there, he's somebody that Taylor Heinicke needs to be very wary of.
And one thing you also have to be very wary of when you're dealing with Leonard, protecting the football. He's constantly trying to punch the football out. I think he forced maybe 8 fumbles last year, some insane amount of fumbles. But he's doing that peanut punch where he's punching the football out. So guys, ball carriers are going to have to be very careful when they're around him.
Yeah, they haven't necessarily had a lot of takeaways either, the Colts have this season, and he would be somebody that could potentially help with that. Let's talk a little bit about the offensive line. It's a little bit different of what they're being asked to do with Taylor Heinicke out there versus Carson Wentz. But what did you see from that unit?
Well, the last couple of weeks, I've really enjoyed the way they've been able to run the football. You look at the Chicago game, especially in the second half, going out and establishing the run, and you see, Gibson and Brian Robinson feeding off of that. And I think it sends a mentality, it changes the mentality for the offensive line where they know, hey, we're going to lean on guys for 60 minutes. It opens up the play-action pass. You saw the 166 yards rushing against the Green Bay Packers. The offensive line just, again, created massive holes. One thing I noticed, and I looked at this, over the last 6 quarters, they've only given up 2 sacks for a total of 4 yards. And that's a credit to them from the offensive line standpoint, being able to run the ball. It's also a credit for them not giving up the pressure like they was, since we've had this group, with Larson, Sadiq Charles, and also Cornelius Lucas, starting together. We've been able to really be stout as the passing protection group.
Sadiq Charles had been out missing a couple of days of practice with illness. He will be active, but more than likely will not be the starter out there, maybe just be worked a little bit into the rotation. The Colts offensive line has had their own share of struggles as well, playing very inconsistent, underperforming, not winning their one-on-one matchups, which would bode well for the defensive line for Washington. We have 5 players with 3+ sacks. I think that ties the Cowboys with the most on that defensive line. Of course, Sam Ehlinger a little bit more mobile than Matt Ryan would be sitting in that pocket, but Cole Holcomb not being out there is significant. Yes. What do you do to try to attest for him not being out there? And I'd imagine that means Cam Curl, come on in. There's going to be even a bigger role for you.
Yeah, the thing that who's going to wear the green dot on the defense with Cole not being in the game? Who's going to be the communicator? Who's going to, be that guy who sets the defense? And was it going to be Jamin Davis or is it going to be Jameis? I don't know if he's going to play 100% of the snaps. So you look at who's in the secondary that plays 100% of the snaps. It's typically Cam Curl. So I can see him calling the defense, being a communicator. I can also see them maybe mixing in Mayo and also Bostic as a combination to kind of replace Cole Holcomb. But that's a huge loss for our defense because of his communication, but also his playmaking skills.
Okay, let's see. Cam Curl has been really stout. One of the main reasons his team has done so well against the run, probably even a bigger role than he's already had before with Cole Holcomb being out. Real quick, as we're going to break here, favorite Halloween candy?
Man, it's not even a Halloween candy. I just like Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh, it doesn't need to be Halloween for me to get it. Okay, we'll have to make sure we get some up in the booth for you. When we come back, though, we're going to take a look around the NFL with Bram Weinstein. Plus, we'll look at how Washington can get their offense rolling early here in Indy. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you are listening to Washington Commanders Football.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy 1 large pizza and get a second large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
We'll make a new bet around every 2 seconds. Not only on the game, but on the game of life. Betting that love is just a swipe away. Betting on picking up that curious hitchhiker carrying a bowling bag. And betting that he doesn't turn out to be a cornhole prodigy. Every moment in life is a bet, but life doesn't offer you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. So bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, and make every moment more.
Finding the Honda you really want just got easier. With a longer limited warranty, so long. And complimentary oil changes within the first year. You've never been more at peace. Honda certified pre-owned.
Dude. Fire. Grill master, huh?
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
Yo!
Wentz coming through the door.
We got Jeremy. Okay, yeah, big scare. But you're Yo! Yo, nah, y'all wildin' this morning, bro. But I want me. Bro, what? How we doing, bro? Hey, Bobby! Hey! Man, whoa!
Y'all wrong year for that one.
You didn't get mine. You didn't get it. You got Bob. Hey!
Wow!
Hey! Sorry for this. B-Rob!
That's slick, bro.
Yeah! JP, you a
All the time I be thinking he was real. Hey, that's a good one. Hey, that's a good one. That's gonna be funny.
Pregame show. Here's Julie Donaldson.
First and 10 at the 37. RPO again. Heineke going to take a shot towards McLaurin. Near sideline. It's caught! Touchdown! Touchdown, Washington! A 37-yard bomb from Heineke to McLaurin!
We talk about him throwing those deep passes for any inaccuracy he's had. The game connects right there. And, of course, it's so good as a 1-7 score.
Heineke's 37-yard touchdown pass to McLaurin in last Sunday's win over the Packers is our intelligent play of the game. Presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud and dominate cyber operations with Fognigma. And joining me now is Bram Weinstein once again. Okay, Bram, it's fun to be able to call plays like that. Of course, we like to be able to see, as Taylor Heineke told me, he's like, look, he really wanted to connect on that deep ball with Terry because he felt like he was leaving a lot of yards out there for Terry by not being able to throw it down the field. Still maybe not might have the greatest of arm strength, but he does have the abilities to be able to make some big plays. And, of course, we've been showing you earlier how Terry McLaurin was signing a lot of autographs for fans, so maybe some good calls coming today.
Quite a reunion day here. So Terry McLaurin, 70 people here supposedly with him. Of course, sat up in the stands here and was a Colts fan growing up. Mr. Football in Indiana for a number of years. Harris Campbell, former teammate, got drafted ahead of him, plays for the Colts. And then, for the Colts, too, it's a big day. Tarek Glenn is going into their Ring of Honor. And there's, what they're describing as, the largest amount of, Colts alumni showing up here today. Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James, Peyton Manning. Saw Bill Polian walking around. So put on a show for all the elite of Indianapolis here today as well.
Okay, well, they're going to do it with Sam Ellinger under center. But let's do a little bit. This is a 4:25 kickoff, the first time we've had that this season so far, so a couple games already in action. Let's start with the NFC East. Philadelphia remains the lone unbeaten team at 6-0. They were a 10-point half favorite coming into the game against the Steelers at Lincoln Financial Field. They rank near top 10 in every major category, and it looks like they are continuing that dominance once again.
Yeah, it looks like they're heading to 7-0. They're playing Thursday night this week, too, at Houston, so they could have an early week at the 8-0. 28-13 Eagles, couple of early touchdowns by A.J. Brown. Man, that trade is looking really good. Steelers just can't keep up offensively right now. 28-13 late third.
By the way, all 5 meetings between the Eagles and Steelers over the last 20 years has been won by the home team. Eagles were 9-1 against the Steelers at home. Meanwhile, Dallas comes in at 5-2. Dak Prescott slid back into the starting quarterback. They came into the game against the Bears at 9.5-point favorites at A&T Stadium.
Cowboys lead 41-23 now, third quarter. So Dak Prescott really getting back going here. Maybe the engine's starting to purr again. I didn't think we'd see an offensive showcase like this today. Tony Pollard, a couple of touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott's not playing today. 41-23 Cowboys, so we're getting no breaks around the league right now.
And then if we keep going, the Giants will have a kickoff this afternoon. They are 6-1. A really big surprise, not just in the NFC East, but in the NFL, what they've been able to do. They were 3-point underdogs here in Seattle this afternoon. Do we have a little more security with Daniel Jones now?
Yeah, I think so. They have an interesting choice to make here now, obviously. They didn't pick up the fifth-year option on his rookie contract, so he is set to be a free agent. It's a prove-it year with a new coach, third coach that he's dealt with, and it's obviously going very well. And frankly, I think he's playing the best football of his career at this point, too. Saquon Barkley being back to himself has really helped them as well. They're missing a lot of people today, and Seattle's a lot better than I think people thought they were going to be. Tough road trip for the Giants going out there. Overall, though, boy, what a difference a couple years makes. Coming into today, and it looks like it's just going to continue, the aggregate record of the NFC East is 20-7. That is the best record by any division at this point in a season since realignment. So remember 2 years ago, everybody was making fun of the NFC East? They are, by far, right now, the best division in football.
The NFC least is what it was, and that year is when head coach Ron Rivera took over for the first year after a 3-win team. He got them to 7 wins and a division win. 7 wins is not going to get it in the division at all. I mean, just think about right now already where the Eagles will end up finishing at 7-0 to start the season as well. What would it mean for Washington to get to even at 500 today?
I think it's huge. I mean, obviously the playoffs are still a possibility here. It's just looking like winning the division is going to be maybe a bridge too far for them this time around. There's just too many teams doing too well. They would all have to fall off a cliff. It's going to be tough to do. Still think it's very possible that a wild card is in play here because a number of the other teams that we expected to have big years, Arizona, the Rams, San Francisco, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, all of them seem to be sliding in different directions. And while I believe that at least a couple of them are going to turn around, you have to believe that that's going to happen. The door is open for them to make a run here towards a wild card, and this is a big deal today. I mean, are they catching a break with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. That's a really unusual, and I was trying to think about it, when was the last time you ever heard of a team whose season is still kind of very much in play, going from a veteran to a guy with no experience at all in the middle of the season? It's not a first-round pick. It's a really unusual decision today.
I was hearing a few whispers around the hotel that they kind of wish they were still facing Matt Ryan. At least you knew what you were getting. Somebody's going to stand in the pocket and let this defensive line be able to attack their offensive line, which is struggling, and be able to get to them. It was a little bit of a competition of who could be sacked more, Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz, until both changes quarterbacks.
This is Halloween. You go up to the house, you don't know what kind of candy you're getting when you ring the doorbell. I don't like unknowns. We have no idea what we're getting in this quarterback today, and I think that's what's probably got everybody a little bit on edge. They don't know what he's good at or what their tendencies are going to be. It's an unusual game for sure.
The unexpected, the unknown, that is what we will see through the first, as this game kicks off through the first half, see what adjustments this team may need to make, maybe not. Maybe they come out really strong defensively as well. Okay, the trade deadline is coming up. Are you anticipating any moves from Washington?
I am not. I do believe that if someone came forward with something that was reasonable for William Jackson, that is a move they would probably make. Because of the amount of money on his contract and because he has a back injury, I have a hard time believing that a deal is going to come to them. The stuff about Antonio Gibson was utterly ridiculous last week. I think that was someone throwing you-know-what up on a wall, and it fortunately didn't stick. And frankly, I know Deron Payne's in the last year of his contract, but I don't see a path unless someone came with something that's a little preposterous for him that makes any sense to move him at this point. They have a shot at the playoffs. He's playing really well. The defense is leading this team. I don't see it. So I don't anticipate any moves here.
There could be additions, maybe?
I think if the right thing came along, I'm not sure what exactly that would be. I mean, if it was if the right thing happened on the offensive line, something like that, I could maybe make a case for it, but I don't anticipate that either.
Okay, let's get a little bit of a fantasy football going on here in this game. Who do you like as the starters of today? And mind you, Logan Thomas is making his return as well after missing a couple of weeks.
Let's pick him.
Okay.
I think Taylor Heineke is comfortable with certain people, right? Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin, J.D. McKissick. He found McLaurin last week. I think he's going to need a security blanket in Logan Thomas today with stuff on the offensive line, probably trouble running the ball on this Colts defense. So I like Logan Thomas to have a big role today, maybe some big numbers from the tight end position. And for the Colts, it's easy. I can't imagine that Jonathan Taylor doesn't get 20 to 25 carries again today. They also target him a lot. He should have a big day, at least stat-wise. Hopefully he doesn't find the end zone.
The Fantasy Football Report is presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of the Washington Commanders. And so we're actually showing you Peyton Manning right now on the field. If you are watching us on our social media platforms, that's the really great thing, is we are bringing you eyes on into this team warming up here in Indianapolis on the field. And Washington will be wearing the burgundy jerseys, or the burgundy pants and white jersey tops. So it's a different atmosphere inside the dome. It's kind of raining outside. That should bode well, I guess, if you want to be able to talk about punting as well in this one. And their punter's been, like, look, for all that we have at Trustway, their punter has really been struggling, only averaging, 30 yards in the air.
Yeah.
5 punts last week of that. They went and signed the punter, bring maybe a little extra competition. So maybe special teams will factor in today here in the Dome as well.
We've got 4 turnovers this year. 2 of them are muffed punts. I'll take anything we can get at this point to try to shift field position and catch some breaks in the game.
Okay, well, Cam Curl, he's been a force on Washington's defense. London Fletcher, he caught up with Curl this week. We're going to have that conversation next. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
Come on, Mr. Sanders, focus.
Jamie Foxx, what's up, my man?
What up, Barry? Got time to chat bets?
Yeah.
All right, look, so we got Cincy over Cleveland, right?
Boom, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Now, parlay time, would you put Miami in with L.A., Vegas, and
Oh,
Denver?
no, terrible.
No? I was feeling that, though.
What did Jamie Foxx want?
Oh, I've got no idea. Come on, serve it up.
From selecting the perfect produce and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you, we have perfected the art of fresh.
This is Maya Titan. She's smiling because her small culinary supply store, Titan's Pans, is up and running. And this is NFL star Derrick Henry, accidentally tagging Titan's Pans instead of his loyal fans. Which, very unexpectedly, has her business trending. And trending, and trending, and oh my. And there goes the internet. Good thing Maya uses FedEx to help prepare for unexpected demand. Because you never know what's next.
Time now to go around the league, delivered by FedEx, where now meets next.
Commanders Pregame Show. Here's Julie Donaldson.
Of course, we have London Fletcher with us each and every game calling the games, but we also bring him around during the week where we pair him up with one of the current players for a little conversation. Of course, if we're talking about somebody that has made a huge impact on defense, Cam Curl has done that. His start to the season was delayed as he had to have surgery for an injury on his thumb. But second he came back into the game, he has had a huge impact. So here is a conversation between London Fletcher and Cam Curl.
Cam, you guys are riding a 2-game winning streak. Defense has come on really strong the last few ball games. What has been the key for you guys' success?
I feel like we just, out there flying around making plays. I feel like we knowing exactly what we need to do, and like we're a lot more confident in defense. And I feel like we know like the team feeds off of us. We want to be the type of defense to where we can control the game. So I feel like that's what we're working towards.
You were able to hold Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers offense to 0 for 6 on third downs. But a lot of that, Coach Rivera, he mentioned how the type of success you've been able to have on first and second down. What things are you guys doing differently that has bled over to the third down defense?
They just been preaching like to be good on third down, you got to be good on first and second down, so they're not getting those 3rd and 2 to 5s, them easy conversions. So just being more stout, on first and second down, not giving up the plays that we used to give up, so we can, have a little more help on third down, 3rd and long. So now, like the downs in our favor. You're
in your 3rd year, starting at the safety position. It seems like the defense has really taken an uptick since you've come back into the lineup. From a communication standpoint, where are you at in just your level of comfort communicating with your teammates?
I feel like I'm very comfortable with communicating with them. They put their trust in me to know, like, the calls and checks to make. So I feel like when we're out there, like, they know I'm going to make the right call. So, like, just being out there, being able to be trustworthy, like, that's the biggest thing, being reliable out there. I just want to be reliable to my teammates.
The defensive front, man, they've been relentless, especially over the last 3 ball games, really getting after the quarterback, not just sacking him, but also getting pressure on him. Defense, pass rush and coverage go together. What's it like playing behind those guys, knowing that ball is going to have to come out quickly?
It's fun playing behind them, not just seeing the sacks and seeing the pressure they get, knowing that the ball's got to come out, it's just going to open up more opportunities for us to get picks on the back end.
Taylor Heineke, he started for us against the Packers. What were your thoughts of him in his first action?
I like watching number 4 play quarterback. You know what I'm saying? He brings a lot of excitement to the game. He can do a lot of things with the ball in his hands, and like just how he came in late in the game and was making those tough throws. Like I like seeing that type of stuff.
Facing the Colts offense, they're going to be starting Sam Ehlinger, 2nd-year player, making his first career start. What are the challenges going against a guy who you don't have a ton of film on, and knowing that it's still coming up with the right type of defensive game plan?
I feel like just as a player standpoint, just playing your rules, playing your techniques, reading your keys, being true to what you see. Because, like you said, we don't have a lot of film on them, but just playing our defense, just making him try to force stuff in there to give us more opportunities for turnovers.
The Colts, their offense runs through number 28, Jonathan Taylor, one of the best backs in the National Football League. How big of a challenge, and the key will be to stopping him?
I feel like it's a challenge, but like I feel our defense like challenges. You know what I'm saying? I think the main thing is just to hunt the ball and wrap up and get them down. No extra yards at the contact. You know what I'm saying? Just have 11 guys at the ball at once.
All right, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
He is officially inactive, but we know Cam Curl is ready for the challenge. Well, we are just over an hour away from kickoff here in Indianapolis. Coming up, Fred Smoot will be joining me to talk about how the Commanders have a great opportunity to break out of this turnover funk this afternoon. You are watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you are listening to Washington Commanders football.
Who has the worst beard on the D-line?
Why would you say that?
Big Pain Wayne.
I don't have a beard. I'm going to go FA.
Who has the worst beard in your position group?
JB.
Word on the street is you have the worst beard on your position group, and also dry lips, but I'm not going to say anything about that. When you grow your hair, there's a stage, there's a struggle stage. Who on this team is in an ugly struggle stage?
It's about hair. He's the last one to talk. He's the last one to talk. He bald and his
Back here. Word on the street is you're at the struggle stage right now in terms of growing your hair.
False.
Who would you say is at the struggle stage right now?
No comment. I love my guys.
Who has the worst dreads?
Bobby McCain.
Bobby! I asked people who had the worst dreads on this team, and someone said that it was you.
Come on, man, look at me.
But who do you think has the worst dreads?
Wild Goose for sure. He ain't from Florida. You know, them Florida boys, they don't even wash their dreads.
Word in the locker room is that you have the worst dreads.
Why y'all letting that big Englishman walk around?
Apparently, people from Florida don't wash their hair.
I wash my hair twice a week.
Who would you say in this locker room has the worst dreads?
Scooter Harris. You ain't even been here that long. That's how you feel?
Who would you say has the worst dreads on this team?
BK. I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, we can leave it up to the people. All right, let's see it then. Good hang time. You know, little something. Who has the worst hairline on this team? JD? Who has the worst hairline on this team? A lot of guys pointing to you.
No. I had a bald head. But when I get my edge up, my hairline ain't the worst. So a big bald headline go like this. Like a U.
Toyota is the #1 selling SUV brand in America, thanks to a steady supply of new vehicles, which means faster delivery to you. And now with special financing options. Choose an electrified 40 MPG RAV4 hybrid, right now with low 2.49% APR. Or take 2.49% financing on an efficient 36 MPG Highlander. Visit your Toyota dealer and reserve yours today. Toyota, let's go places.
At the Parker practice facility for the Washington Commanders is none other than Fred Smoot. Fred joins our post-game show with Scott Jackson each and every game day and joins us again now here in our pregame. Okay, Fred, a little bit of a different wrinkle on offense for Washington as they're going up against Sam Ehlinger. What can we expect from the change at quarterback for the Colts?
Well, Julie, the funny thing about this change-up is very similar to ours. You got to realize their offensive line is not playing well, actually ranked number 32 in the PPF when it comes to blocking. And you got to realize Sam Ehlinger give them somebody that'll make plays outside of the pocket. He's very similar to Tyler Heineke when it comes to height, when it comes to throwing ability. So they're going to try to move the pocket with him. They're going to try to do some things. They're going to try to establish the running game also. So he's that guy, that off-kilter guy that can make plays happen. But don't forget about Alec Pierce, the third-round draft pick they had this year at wide receiver. Tall guys on the outside up there. They don't need to get behind you to make plays. They can make catches, and that's what they're going to try to do on offense.
Okay, so Sam has the ability to be athletic, mobile, unlike Matt Ryan, which is one of the main reasons that they decided to make the change at quarterback. Matt Ryan has been suffering with a shoulder injury, but they said that no matter what, this change was going to be made for the rest of the season. They decided to not go with Nick Foles, either, of course, two veteran quarterbacks, instead to go with the second-year quarterback in Ehlinger. If you're to talk about what kind of style he has, you mentioned the mobility, a little bit like Taylor Heineke. What does that mean for our defensive line, and what do they need to be disciplined in?
Well, Jack Del Rio is going to tell them to rush up the field, but also retract themselves and not rush all the way around to the passer. Make him throw inside the pocket. He's 6'1". Make him throw over the taller guys when it comes to Sweat, when it comes to John Allen in the pocket. Keep him in the pocket. Force him, like all young quarterbacks, to beat you from the pocket, and usually that doesn't go well. But if you let him get outside, if you let the play break down, and you overrush and get out of your pass rush lanes, he has the ability to make plays, and that's what they're hoping for. Matt Ryan, who you brought up earlier, the only reason he failed and probably got benched, they say his shoulder hurt, but I think more of his feelings. At the end of the day, the only reason that happened is because he was turning the ball over, a lot of fumbles, a lot of interceptions, and that's because the offensive line is not playing well, and that's what they hoping Sam Ehlinger does right now. Come in, be a spark for them, make some plays off the time, and go out there and get outside the pocket and make those plays.
Matt Ryan was turning the ball over. He said 11 fumbles was what he had. 3 of them were lost. The interceptions were being way too high for them as well. And he was also taking a lot of sacks because their offensive line has not been playing to the level that they would anticipate and expect. Now, we've been talking about how Cole Holcomb is not going to be out there. He's dealing with a foot injury. So you have Jamin Davis, potentially an increased role for Cam Curl. How do you make up on a unit when your Mike linebacker is not out there?
Well, making up is not the physical part that you're going to miss with Cole Holcomb. It's going to be the mental part. Who's going to call the plays? Like you brought up Mayo, you brought up Jamin Davis. Everybody's going to have to step up in that situation because they're going to try to establish the run game with Jonathan Taylor, and that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Sam Ellinger establishing the run. Like I said, very similar situation to us. So the guys that come in and fill in that gap, Cameron Curl in the box, yes, they used to see a lot of that in the first quarter to force them to be one-dimensional, to force them to put the game in Sam Ellinger's hand. But at the end of the day, you're going to miss his play calling. You're going to miss his check at the line. When they move tight ends, when they move wide receivers, the linebackers are going to have to step up and know the mental part of the game. And I think that's going to be a big aspect of the game as the game goes on, especially in the third and fourth quarter.
Let's talk about how important that's going to be, especially with Jonathan Taylor. We know how dynamic he can be. He was dealing with a toe injury. He missed 2 games. But when he did open the season and he was feeling good, he had 161 rushing yards, 175 yards from scrimmage. Look, he had 1,800 rushing yards last season. And potentially with Sam Ellinger being able to have a little bit of mobility, might be able to open up their run game a little bit more. But this is a team that had not relied on running the ball. They were passing the ball at an insurmountable number of times a game, which is not likely to lead to a lot of success. How much more do you anticipate with Sam being under center to get from Jonathan Taylor in this game?
That changes everything. That changes the way they call their offense. They're going to be more careful. They're going to be trying to not get behind the chains. They want second and short, third and short. Try to keep the option of run available. And listen, if Jonathan Taylor been going and everything, I hope his toe keep him slow. This is not the game to let him get going because, like I said, you want to put this game in Sam Ellinger's hand. Make him beat you and make him beat you from the pocket. You cannot let Jonathan Taylor get going. And first of all, you cannot let him bust off a big run for 30, 40, 50 yards because that's something he's very capable of. If he gets these yards, make him earn these yards. You were talking about that toe. I'm telling you, after 15, 20 carries, he will start to feel it. So you cannot let him get started. Keep them one-dimensional, giving us a chance to go for our 3rd straight win.
All right, so if you want to sit there and you want to force Sam to throw the ball, let's talk about who he has to throw the ball to. A lot of the receivers on this team can, contend for themselves, but they've kind of had to grow together a little bit unproven in the roles that they were coming into. But Michael Pittman can cause all sorts of problems. Mo Alley Cox, Alec Pierce kind of wins those jump balls. Paris Campbell, of course, as well in that receiver room. What do you see from that unit in the air game?
Well, the great thing about it is for Sam Ellinger, he doesn't have to be accurate when you're throwing to big, tall receivers. You can throw tall receivers big, bad balls, and you can throw them balls all over the place. You can throw them balls because of the catch radius. They don't have to separate to make these catches. And Alec Pierce is a guy that's 6'4", has a wingspan of a basketball player, and Michael Pittman Jr. is not only a tall guy, he's a guy that can run out to the catch. So you're talking about some guys that can really make something happen. But Paris Campbell is the guy I'm going to watch because, like I said, they're going to try to keep the chains moving. Not too much worried about the big play today. They're going to try to make the big play when the play breaks down, but they're going to try to methodically keep these chains moving, and Paris Campbell going to be a big part of that.
Do you see any potential threat with the change of Sam being under there of a deep threat? Because that is something that they have struggled with. They have not gone downfield. And so the defenders can sit there right up at the line of scrimmage and really just attack them one-dimensional, get to the quarterback, stop the run. With Sam under center, do you see and do they have the talent to be able to stretch the field?
Oh, yes, they do, and everything starts with Jonathan Taylor. Like, the threat of the run open up the play action. If they're going to try to hit us deep, it's going to be on a play action call, and it's going to be because Jonathan Taylor is effective running the ball. That's why I say everything hinges on him. If you stop him and make them one-dimensional, that takes the play action out of your game because now the DBs do not respect it. So look for them to try to get it in tight, pack it in tight, run the ball, and try to do them on 2 receiver routes with the tight end out there to try to get on top of us to make that big play to back us up so they can come back and methodically do the same thing over and over again.
I want to talk now about the secondary. This defense that Indy has, it is a top 10 defense. In the secondary there, what is Terry McLaurin and this receiving unit going to go be up against? We know Stephon Gilmore is out there. More than likely, I don't know, you tell me, do you anticipate him following Terry around, or what kind of problems can they cause?
I don't foresee that because they're really a cover 3 team. Gus Bradley, and you just think about Seattle Seahawks when Richard Sherman there, more of a structured cover 3 team, a team that's going to force you to catch those passes in front of them, and they're going to come up and try to make the tackles. They're going to keep their strong safety in the box to try to come down and take the tight end out of the game. So I think at the end of the day, like you said, finding a matchup for Terry. Curtis Samuels is going to be key. Can he find the holes in this zone? I told you they play a lot of cover 3. And don't forget, they're getting back their middle linebacker when it comes to the artist formerly known as Darius Leonard, now known as Shaquille Leonard. This is the guy that he's a turnover machine. This is the guy that can come up with 14, 15 tackles. So everything starts with him keeping the ball in front of them rallying to the ball, trying to get the ball out of there. I think you got to push the ball down the field. When the play breaks down, that's when Heineke is at his best. How many times will you give a chance to do this? Because they only like to rush forward when it comes to their front.
Yeah, they're 7th in pass defense, 23rd in rush defense. But you mentioned that they only rush for the interior of their defense, though, as well on that line. You got to look out for them. I mean, this offensive line is going to have to put in some work when they're going to be trying to come for Taylor.
And that's why they're going to try to keep him inside of. You look at the interior of this line with those big boys they got. You're talking about 6'7" and 6'6". All right, they're going to try to make him throw over them. All right, the thing about it is he has to throw in between them, and it's all about the offensive line and their splits and them getting the ball out of his hand very quick. Look for the screen game to be a big part of this game. Look for them to start to try to back them out. If Scott Turner is smart, back them up, take the crowd out the game, and take the game over quick, and now you can see the snowfall when it comes to Sam Ellinger controlling the offense. And, hey, I'm not shocked if they try to throw Matt Ryan in there if it gets out of hand.
You're already calling for more quarterback controversy than they've already been having here in Indianapolis. Look, you mentioned Shaq Leonard coming back, and he's somebody that has the ability to kind of really read the eyeballs of the quarterback. And we saw Taylor kind of, giving himself up early in that game. He had to look them off a little bit, kind of got better in that, I think, as the game progressed last week against Green Bay. Zaire Franklin has really kind of stepped up for linebacker for them. He has 45 solo tackles, 72 total. But what does, if Shaq's back and he's on a pitch count, what does their linebacking unit, where is that the biggest concern for Washington?
When it comes to, like I said, rallying to the ball. Shaquille, one of them guys, when he gets to the ball, Leonard, he's trying to get the ball out of there. And we know the things Antonio Gibson went through in the past, so he's zeroed in on him. He's going to zero in on rookie Brian Robinson. First man there, secure the tackle. Second man, try to get the ball out. He's usually the second man there. He's going to try to get that ball out, and it's going to be a lot when Curtis Samuels catching the ball. He's going to be right around the place that he covers, and he's going to try to get the ball out most of the time. He's a turnover machine. But that's what you cannot do. Heineke and the rest of this team, the offense, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs, secure the ball. You cannot turn over the ball, especially when you got a rookie quarterback out there. You don't want to give him short field, force him to go 70 yards, force him to go 80 yards, and you got a chance to go win this game.
Yeah, protects the ball. Don't be reckless. What about takeaways? What have you seen from this defense? I feel like it's been very slow. They have one of the fewest takeaways, just 4 total in the NFL. 2 of them have come on muffed punts. Thank you very much, Tressway, for being a lefty kicker and causing all sorts of issues there. But is this a game where maybe they can take advantage of Sam?
Hey, well, maybe Tresh the Tollway does it again. I don't know. Maybe we get a third one in a row. But listen, if they're going to ever get the ball back, it's going to be against a rookie quarterback, a 7th-rounder. It's going to be against a guy that's going to go out there and try to do too much. It's going to be against an offense that does have a true number one, but the number one still has a lot to prove. If you're ever going to do it, it's going to be now. You have to get the ball back, and the chances that we have got the ball back, we get flags and we hurt ourselves. So at the end of the day, I think it's getting the ball back is a mentality. And it starts with the front, it starts with the linebacker, and it starts with the front getting their hands up. All right? Don't be shocked that we bat a couple balls and somebody runs under those balls. Them the balls that we have to get, the 50-50 balls we have not gotten, and them the balls we got to come up with today.
Yeah, special teams has been huge for Washington these past few weeks, being able to get that ball back on the muffed punt. But also, if we talk about special teams, the Colts have struggled. Their punter is ranked 30th in the league, 31st in the league. He's averaging just 30 yards a punt, so maybe field position should really kind of potentially help Washington here today. The reason they got the win against Green Bay was complementary football, offense, defense, and special teams, which is what they want to build off of here today in Indianapolis. Getting set for Halloween. Fred, favorite candy?
First of all, I love Reese's Pieces. I can do Reese's Pieces anytime, but I used to love knocking at the door and getting cotton candy. That's when I knew I was at a baller's house. Cotton candy.
I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody giving out cotton candy, but I guess you can bag it up these days and hand it on out. What is your favorite costume? What are you dressing up for Halloween this year? Because we will be doing the show on Monday, Command Center. You can watch on NBC Sports Washington, 5:30, 10 p.m. and our YouTube channel. What are you dressed as?
Well, you know, I'm trapped in the Game of Thrones. I'm trapped in the state, the country of Westeros. So most definitely, I either be a Targaryen, I either be a dragon, or somebody off of that show. I had to surprise you, Julie.
I just started the House of Dragons. Love Game of Thrones. I think I'm going to be going a little Top Gun thanks to one of our producers, Kyle Arian, getting that costume for me. So I'm coming in all Top Gun on you.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
Okay, what is going to be the key to a victory here today for Washington to get to back to 500? Because I feel like they've gotten a little more confidence the past 2 weeks, but we want to make it 3 in a row.
I think we got to start quick. We haven't started quick well. We sure didn't do it last week, and I knew it was going to be some rust on Heineke. I knew it was going to take him a quarter or two to get in, but we got to start quick on the road, especially against a rookie quarterback. Got to make the big plays when they present themselves. Force that young quarterback to beat you on defense, and do not be shocked. I'm saying it first right here. If Antonio Gibson runs a kickoff back, we either need a special team touchdown, a defensive touchdown. We need something to change this game, and I would not be shocked if it happens on special team yet again this week.
Would not at all. Okay, Fred Smoot, folks, you can catch him on our post-game show on Big 100 with Scott Jackson. Also, that will be on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Fred.
Anytime.
Well, my conversation with Taylor Heineke is coming up as he prepares for his second start of the 2022 season with Washington, aiming for 3 in a row. How is our quarterback feeling? You are watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
It's 4th down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but incredible. A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
Finding the Honda you really want just got easier. With a longer limited warranty, so long. And complimentary oil changes within the first year. You've never been more at peace than with Honda Certified Pre-Owned.
With the Game of Life scratch-off from the Maryland Lottery, all roads lead to fun. Play the Game of Life scratch-off today and get your chance to win up to $1 million.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy 1 large pizza and get a second large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
I try to do a good job of just focus on what's really important. Winning this game is the most important thing, but I'd be lying if I say it's not kind of cool to be able to go back to where I grew up, kind of where my affinity of football started. Was fortunate to win a few state championships in Indianapolis, that stadium, win a few Big Ten championships in that stadium. Grew up a Colts fan, sitting in Section 540 with my dad. So I had a lot of memories about Indianapolis, and it's going to be cool to be able to be on the field, you know what I mean? Like really, as an opposing player, that's kind of crazy. But it's just reflecting on that is like how blessed I've been, how good God's been in my life, and you just never know where your journey's going to be. You couldn't have told me when I was 7 years old that I wouldn't be playing in the NFL, and to be able to come back and share that moment with my family and my close friends, that's going to be pretty cool. But at the end of the day, I want to win this game. I want to keep our win streak going. You know what I mean? I think they pose as a really good team. They're really disciplined on defense, and I know they have a new quarterback, but he's going to probably give them a lot of energy. So we have to go in there and limit the negative plays and get off to a fast start on the road.
Here's Julie Donaldson.
We are getting close to kickoff here, where Washington has the opportunity to put together 3 wins in a row. And it would be a welcoming and a homecoming for Terry McLaurin, as he has 70 family and friends in attendance here today. Of course, we know he has a great connection with Taylor Heinicke. I had a conversation with Taylor this week about taking over as the starting quarterback and getting in sync with Terry and this offense and trying to get 3 wins in a row. Here's my conversation with QB number 1. All right, Taylor, the dust has settled a little bit because there were a lot of emotions after that game. Where's the feelings, the emotions now?
They're kind of dying down. I'm trying to get them to die down a little bit. It's a long season, and we got to get ready for Indy. So I'm going to enjoy this one today. And dive into Indy tomorrow, so I'm going to try and enjoy it for the rest of the day.
We're very well aware that Green Bay was your team growing up, and it's something that you would bond with your dad over. Unfortunately, your dad not being able to be here, but what do you think he would be saying, and how would he be celebrating this with you?
Yeah, it's pretty standard for my dad. He would give me his famous bear hug, tell me he's proud of me, he loves me, and then we would probably share a beer over some steak or something. So. I know he was watching down yesterday, and he's really proud of me.
I know your entire family is, as is the fan base as well. Are you aware, do you hear the chants from the crowds of Heinicke, Heinicke? Do you hear that when you're in the moment?
Not really. Sometimes I hear it, but again, like yesterday, that was the last thing that was on my mind. That rough first half, and I was just trying to get back and give our team a chance to win. So. But when things are going great, you can kind of hear them and kind of enjoy it. But for a game like yesterday, it's you're trying to focus in.
You could have easily kind of crumbled in that first half, but instead, there's something in you that just doesn't quit. A lot of guys will say you've got like that dog in you, and we hear the word like moxie all the time with you. Where does that mentality come from?
I think a lot of it has to come from Brett Favre. That's who I grew up watching. And you go back and watch his film, the dude never gave up. He was tough. And he had a lot of fun out there. And, that's why I fell in love with the game of football. So every time I go out there, I pretend like it's my last game. I go out there and try to have fun and leave it all out there. And I think that's what makes me the player I am today.
We saw you share a moment with Aaron Rodgers after the game as well. Can you share us what was shared between the two?
Yeah, he said, you played a great game. Keep doing your thing, stay healthy, and probably maybe see you down, later down the road. So again, to share a moment like that with a quarterback that you've looked up to your whole life and have been rooting for, when I was in high school, it's a really cool moment.
One of the reasons we're celebrating this win is your connection with Terry McLaurin. And you've now got a couple of seasons and a couple of years being able to work with him. Of course, being able to sync and trust the timing and trust the chemistry with your receiver is important. Where is that when it comes to Terry?
It's up there. It's up there big time. Obviously there's some things I wish I could correct. I missed him on a couple throws yesterday, but the biggest thing I felt bad about last year was the deep ball to him. I couldn't connect with him on the deep ball last year for whatever reason. And there was a lot of yards to be had there, a lot of touchdowns to be had last year, and I couldn't get him those numbers. And so one of the biggest things I worked on this offseason was arm strength and the timing with my feet. So, working through that, this offseason and during training camp, it showed yesterday with that 9 ball. And then there's a couple of plays where I just trusted him. Just threw it in an area and let him go do his thing. We paid him a lot of money for a reason, right? So When I throw that ball in the air, I have full confidence that he's going to make the play, and he did yesterday.
So we're counting 37 yards as a good deep ball.
Yeah,
How much pride do you kind of take in being able to connect on that? Because it is something that everybody wants to comment on with you.
Yeah, it's huge for me. It gives you a little boost of confidence, and hopefully we can build on it. But again, last year we connected on a couple. I think one was in Atlanta. But again, if we can keep stretching the field, it just makes our offense a lot better. So if I can continue to do that, I think we're in a good place.
It wasn't just Terry. There are 7 different guys that you threw the ball to. Mm-hmm. What does it say for this offense, the options that you have, the playmakers that you have, and you even were short as well in that game because Dotson wasn't out there, Diami wasn't out there, Logan wasn't out there as well.
Yeah, it's just a testament to our coaches and those guys. They work hard throughout the week. You see it during practice, and we had some, Armani. He was a quarterback in college. Mm-hmm. He's only been tight end for 5-6 months now, and he's out there breaking tackles and getting crucial first downs. So. For him to do that was huge for us. It gives him a boost of confidence, and he's just going to build on that as well. So, unfortunately, Cole went down with a concussion, but we've seen flashes of him throughout training camp. We're really excited about the young guys. They keep working hard, they keep making plays, and it just gives all of us confidence that we can use them.
How much does it really kind of help you in what you want to do when the run game is doing what it was doing? 166 yards on the ground.
Yeah, it's huge. Again, I think a quarterback's best friend is when you can hand the ball off and turn around and see them gash it and go for 5, 10, 15 yards. So, it was really pleasing to see that. And again, that's a testament to the offensive line as well. They've been under attack, for a couple weeks now, but, they got together and they put together a really good game.
What can you attest that to? The offensive line has gone through multiple changes. I don't know that they've had stability from one game to the next of guys moving all around, and you see the challenges that they're up against to be able to come together. How do you believe that they're able to do that, or were?
I think it's just continuing to work. There's no way, you can change the past, and the only way you can get better is to continue to work, and that's what they do week in, week out, day in, day out. So, it's nice having Tyler Larson in there. He's knows this system for a long time. I think he gives the offensive line a little bit of confidence in making those calls and making sure everyone's doing their thing. And he did a good job of leading them yesterday.
Yeah, just 1 sack late in the game though. Feeling it still. Oh, yeah. I can't imagine 1 would be more than enough probably for any quarterback there. But moving on, you've got Indianapolis coming up. Now that you get it was 1 week with the starters that you had last week preparing for it. What are you wanting to work on this week now that you've got even more time there?
I would say more with just timing with receivers. Hopefully we get Dotson back, and hopefully we get Logan back. But yeah, I think if you just keep on working on the timing with the guys and putting the balls where they want them, we'll be in good shape. And again, offensive line keep doing their thing, running backs keep running the ball like they are, and I think we'll be all right shape.
It was really cool to be able to see how your teammates were interacting with you in the locker room post game, and there's just pure joy from everyone for what you had to overcome, for keeping them in the game, for being able to get that victory. And there's that one picture with John Allen.
Yeah.
Find somebody that looks at you but how does it make you and help you to know that your teammates, they believe in you? Mm-hmm. And that's very evident.
Yeah, well, going back to the picture, I texted Emily, our photographer, and I was like, "You really had to post that one." It looks kind of suspect there, but it was a great moment for John and I. And he's been in my ear throughout the year. If your time ever comes, we believe in you, and just go out there and do your thing. So when you have a captain like that, telling you that even when you're not starting, it means a lot to me. All the guys come up after the game. It's nice to have that encouragement. It's nice to have, guys having your back. So, they know I got their back too, and hopefully we can just keep this thing rolling.
And here we go. Taylor Heinicke getting his second start this season. That is brought to you by Window Nation. Buy 2 windows. Get 2 free and pay nothing until 2025. Visit windownation.com. Thanks to everybody who joined us on our social media platforms. We say goodbye to you, but our 50-yard line show will continue on Big 100 as we are getting close to kickoff. You are listening to Washington Commanders football.